Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you in advance for staying. I'm Alex Black.
I'm Court Cobain. Well, Courtney, better known as Court Cobain.
And this is the Coolin Real Life podcast where passions and purpose align.
Yes, we're back. We're back.
Finally.
What episode is this?
4.
Damn.
Right?
Okay, episode 4.
We moving.
We are moving. This is a special episode. This episode, we have a guest with us. We said in the first episode that we wanted to bring people on at some point, people that we admire, people that we deem cool in real life, based on the way that they lead their lives. And our first guest is someone that is a phenomenal artist, someone who literally puts his entire city on his back, okay, and extremely gifted, extremely proud of where they're from, and want other people to notice where they're from, and that, you know, the city of Richmond, there's voices here, there's talent here. They deserve to be seen, they deserve to be heard, they deserve to be recognized. So in any little way that we can, we're gonna recognize as much as we can. So we got Silly Genius in the building.
Clap it up, clap it up.
Thank you for having me.
That little intro was off the top.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Thank you for saying yes to sitting down with us.
Of course.
Oh, this is gonna be a fun one. Silly was with us all day yesterday, taking us around to certain spots. That's cool.
Yeah, so today we're in the gallery 1078?
1708.
1708. 1708. Artwork is featured from 5 different phenomenal artists, and Silly is one of the artists. So in the episode, you will hear people coming in. You might see people browsing the space and enjoying the artwork. So we just gonna let them rock out while we rock out, because we want them to buy the art.
Right.
Support the artist, buy the art,
Right.
see the art, and become captivated by what you see, because it's great. Everything in here is great. Yeah. Sorry to take that away from you.
No, you're good. Thank you for easing us into that so gracefully.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I want people to know why the door's slamming.
I feel that. So we gonna jump right into it. We won't be doing a What's Your Life Like right now, as when we have guests on, we want the episode to be totally about the guest, and not about us. So we might do something separately outside, but right now we're here to focus on my guy, Silly Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yesterday we went around the entire city, different locations. Silly puts up phenomenal murals, and it's very intentional, because you put up murals on the south side of Richmond, where you're from, and it's because, you know, they don't show love to that part of the city.
Yeah.
You know, as a person who is a visitor, I come down here, you know, once a month, and, you know, I kind of dwell in the downtown area. You see murals everywhere. They look a little commercial, they dope, but, you know, it's not you. You know what I mean? And the fact that they're not pouring resources into different parts of the city is a little bit, you know, unfortunate. So can you just tell us a little bit more about, you know, your murals, your artwork, your street work?
So I used to live, when we took to the garden, I used to live like 2 blocks away from there. And I would walk, Alex can tell you, like walk to Southside Plaza to the grocery store, grab something to eat, and you're walking down Hull Street and it's like abandoned house, tire shop, corner store, abandoned house. And that's kind of it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And being in the art scene, I'm always like in the art district or going to the museum, going to art shows, and then I go back home to Southside, and like all the art just stays here. And I always like wonder, like, why y'all don't bring the art to the Southside? Like there's walls everywhere. And many efforts, you know what I mean, trying to get the festivals to come out there, never panned out. And I just took it upon myself, like, yeah, I'm gonna bring some of this art back to the crib. So that's kind of where it all started. That was the impetus for it all. So
Man, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. It was super dope yesterday being able to go around Southside because like my thing is like when I come to Richmond, I want to see where y'all are from.
Yeah.
Like the city is cool, but I want to see where y'all are from. You know what I mean? And I think that it's phenomenal that you said, you know what, we tried to get y'all to pay attention to us. You're not paying attention to us, but you know what? We're not gonna stop. So now we're gonna force you to pay attention. Now we're gonna put the spotlight because we are the spotlight. Like we are the movers of the culture. So we're gonna just shift the culture. Let's pull it all to where we from. And I think that's phenomenal. The garden was great.
Yeah. It was with the fruit and everything, and just the fact that, you know, there's fresh produce that the people of that community could go to, because you know, we're two Southside babies. So when you were asking us like, y'all got a CVS, y'all got a Walgreens? No, we don't have none of that around here. We don't even have groceries. It's really a food desert. So the fact that they placed that, you know, garden there for the residents to be able to just come and get fresh produce, I think was just so nice. It's needed.
Yeah, and you were a little surprised too because when you did the garden at first, it wasn't as overgrown.
yeah, like during the winter, it's always kind of just like the trees are bare, nothing's growing, and then you come back like as soon as spring, summer hits, and it's just, you know what I mean, it's alive. You know what I mean, you can see it in a way that you couldn't see it during the winter.
Yeah.
And that garden is like only a couple years old, so those trees are still fairly new. To sort of see them go from like the little saplings to what they are now is just like, oh, this is dope.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was dope to see you interact with the space like that. And also, you know, we kind of talked about the way that the city is shifting with gentrification, but even with the vast gentrification and how swift it is, there's still food deserts.
Yeah.
And that garden is phenomenal. You know what I mean? That garden is dope, and it is feeding the community. It's a community garden, but they're still giving y'all a hard time on that garden.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's not enough. You know, we definitely still need more, and it's just frustrating. Like we were talking about yesterday, how you go to certain parts of town and they have several grocery stores, like you can see one from the other, you know what I mean? But we still, after all these years, we still can't get any, you know, in our communities. So, just unfortunate, man.
So take us back, cause Lily, who mans the front door, you know, like the guests that are coming in and out, she said the worst thing about like bad audio is a bad interview, right? And I had to tell her like, this ain't no interview. Like we sitting down, we chopping it up with the homie. You know, this ain't Club Shay Shay, but we sitting down, we chopping it up.
Yeah.
But I don't know you. I know you by way of my friend. So I'm just intrigued to know like what brought you into the arts, period.
Being a latchkey kid in the 80s. Like my mom, like young mom, she had like a weird hour job. I would see her when I would go to school in the morning, but I wouldn't see her when I came home. And then my uncles were like 16, 17 in high school. They're not trying to hang out with me. I'm 5 years old. So they would tape like just mad episodes of like Yo MTV Raps and like Transformers and Thundercats and all that. And they were just like, yo, watch this. Give me a stack of paper and some crayons and yo, just watch the TV. Don't bother us. And it was birthed there. You know what I mean? I was like, Yo MTV Raps, Thundercats, and just rewind the tape, watch it all over again. So like the art started there, Beat Street, Crush Groove, you know what I mean? Like you got teenage uncles, so like all the music that's happening, I'm there. I'm just soaking it all up. My great uncles are like from the 70s, so it's like Clarence Carter, which I probably shouldn't have been listening to at 5, but like like Clarence Carter and like Brass Construction and just like all that stuff is just in the background. I'm just like soaking it all up, and got introduced to comic books around like 8 or 9.
Word.
So like all those things are just there. My uncle was a big fan of like kung fu flicks, so like it's just a sponge. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
stuff coming from
man.
everywhere, and I just happened to be able to draw, and that was like sort of the where all the seeds are planted for like everything that I'm making now.
That's dope, man. Like you were literally like an epicenter. Like you were right in the epicenter of everything that's moving in our culture. That's fire. Like I saw something, like somebody had made a post, and it basically was it was very egotistical.
Okay.
But they were basically saying like, I'm just gonna paraphrase along the lines of like, I made you. You should be thankful. I know, and sometimes we feel that way, right? Like sometimes people, like when you feel like you're not being appreciated.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? But I had to really take that in, and I'm like, yo, we're all each other's doing.
Yeah.
We're all responsible for each other's doing. You know what I mean? Like no one is responsible for like one thing, right? Like it's a collective effort. And just to hear that just drives that point home. That's dope. So when you shout out Beat Street.
Shout out B Street. If you know, you know.
People don't be putting enough love on Beat Street, man. But what was the homie's name? Was it Ramos?
Ramo, yeah.
Yeah, man. R.I.P. to that guy.
R.I.P. to the homie.
They did him dirty in that movie.
They did.
But I remember growing up, and I just had like this like liking for everything real. And B Street, like,
Yeah.
man, like it inspired me so much. It inspired me so much. It just like tapped into this part of me that I didn't even know existed. Growing up, I was inspired by my aunt. Like she was a dope ass artist. And she kind of like lived that artist lifestyle. And I remember seeing her at like 5, 6 years old. I would go up to Paterson, New Jersey, and like she had like a crazy dope loft studio where the ceilings were literally like, they had to be like 50 feet, if not higher. And it was all brick. She had really, really huge canvases. And since she had so much wall space, she could put all of her canvases on the wall. And I remember thinking like, I want to grow up like this. Like I want to be like this. You know what I mean? And then how do you make it your own? Then it's like you start to get influenced by hip hop. You start to get influenced by you growing up in the city, and you passing street art. You know what I mean? Like you just want to know like how y'all do this. So how did you get into, I know that you said like Beat Street and things like that, and Thundercats and Yo MTV Raps, but how did you get into the point where you're like, I want to do this?
I think it's just like a natural progression of things. Like my family is originally from Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Okay.
So we would go home for like the summer, and I'd spend a couple weekends with like aunts and uncles and seeing my cousins and whatnot. And then you would just soak all of that up, and then I'd come back home to Virginia. And this kind of just like bleeding into the art that I'm making. But Virginia is not like, I grew up in like rural Virginia, tobacco country, so there's no like graffiti anywhere. So it's kind of just like scribbling on, you get a can of Krylon and you just go out in the backyard and you kind of just play around with some cardboard boxes or whatnot. So it wasn't until I moved to Richmond that it even became a possibility of like, oh, I could really do something with this. Like once the city started to like embrace the mural scene with like the mural festivals and all that stuff around 2010, 2011. Like I was always sort of like, I knew graffiti, I like would do the thing in my black book and all that, but like it wasn't like an option until then. And then it was suddenly like, oh, now I can like, I'll put all of that knowledge to use with all the other like graphic design and comic books and all that, and just combine that together on the wall in a way that I just didn't have an option prior to. So that's sort of where the graffiti came in, was painting murals. Like kind of all started, not at the same time, but like roughly in the same sort of like 10-year window.
Word. Yeah, man. A lot of people don't know. I used to draw a lot, and like I was so inspired by street art. You know what I mean? But I was very intimidated by the spray cans, like very intimidated, and I didn't have any like mentors or no homies that was just like, nah, this is how you spray it. You know what I mean? Like, let a little bit of that aerosol out before you hit that wall. It's gonna go crazy on you, But I remember, I'm originally from North Jersey, so we got all the things there. But then we moved to South Jersey, which is rural, And this is where I met Alex in Williamstown, and I felt like I never fit. Like who I am is not here. And I, like you you have your, your notebook or your drawing book. You draw in there, you do all the phenomenal art in there, but then how do you translate it and move it to the wall? That was what I had a hard time with. So I would be around Williamstown High. I was tagging everything. Almost got expelled.
Oh my gosh.
I was tagging everything. They almost expelled me, and then I tried to you know where the CVS is at over on Black Horse Pike. I went behind there and I tried to finally hit a wall. Cops ran up on us.
Come on.
And the homie snitched. Cause I was out.
So you almost got expelled and arrested.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, they made us go back and paint it all over. But at that time, this had to be like early 2000s. This was early 2000s. So at that time, like street art was just like, I don't know what it was, but it was booming.
It was booming.
It was booming. And I remember like, you have a piece up here where you hit in the post office stickers. And I'm like, that was my thing too. That and tagging. And I made these Biz Marquee stickers with my tag on it. And I tried to go all city with them joints. So, like I've always been inspired by that, but for whatever reason, I kind of put the notepad away, I put the pen down, and I stopped drawing, and I kind of gave up on that part. So to see you, it's just so inspirational that it's like, yo, nah, just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't give up, just keep going. Yeah, man.
Speaking of All City, talk to us about All City Art Club.
Man, so All City started roughly 2017, but like officially like 2019. Again, living on the South Side, and the specific moment was the mural festival was happening, and they put out a call like, "Yo, we need more walls. So if you know some walls, hit us up." So I immediately hop on the email, list of like 20 walls on the South Side, just all the whole street. And their response was, "That's a little too far off the beaten path."
Wow.
And I took that personally. So I remember I was working at Walmart at the time, just broke as hell. And I told the homie like, "Yo, it's a wall around the corner. They're gonna let us paint, but we just gotta we ain't got no money, so we gotta come up with our own paint." And so I would go to work, I would mix the colors that we needed, and then I would tell the manager "Hey, yo, the customer said he don't want that. If you mark it down, I'll buy it." So he was marking down $50 buckets of paint to $15 or something.
Wow.
So that's how I was racking up all the paint.
Shut up, man. Because they ain't got no union at Walmart, but we gonna find a way. Shout out, man. That's dope.
So yeah, we just racked up all the paint that we could I could either grift or you know what I'm saying, or just buy on my own. And we painted our first mural. And it didn't really nothing really happened. And then a friend of mine told me to apply for this grant program. And you do the grant applications all the time. I never thought that I would get selected.
Yeah.
But put the pitch together, sent the thing in, got the phone call yo, you got selected. I'm like, you know what I mean?
So
10 grand.
Wow.
I'm like, it's not a lot of money, but we gonna make it work. And that's when we painted the Richmond mural, and then the one right beside the Black Sugar mural right beside it. That summer we painted 5 murals just going, and they just blew up online. People were just, because it's Southside, you just don't expect to see stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the spark that lit the fire for All City Art Club, and we just started rolling from there. Just every year, another homie come on board, we get a couple more murals, start doing art shows and events, and linking up with the homies hip hop, and it just kept growing.
So it's like a collective.
Yeah, it's a collective now. I want it to be more of a platform, because I don't want people to feel sort of left out, why I can't join, and it's not really about that. You know what I mean? It's more about creating opportunities for other artists to just do their thing. So you don't have to go through the whole sort of fight against the gatekeepers to get in. If we could just create the platform, then anybody can just do just do their thing. So, yeah.
So, for the people who don't know, right? Because there's a lot of people who are not privy to street art. Can you just let them know what all city means? Because I know what it means.
So all city means basically just hitting like every borough, every corner of the city, just like everywhere. The easiest way to do that is, of course, trains, but we don't have that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the name was really just a dig at the people who were putting on the festivals. Like, yo, why it's only the art district and the fam? Like, the city is not the biggest city in the world, but like, what about the north side? What about south side? Why you can't come over here and paint? So it was really just like a dig at them. And then the art club thing is just very self-explanatory. But the all city thing was just like, if you understood like graph lingo, you get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's dope that you called it all city because yo, you really going all city, but before you go all city, you going to pay homage to the South Side. Are there any other locations in Richmond where you just trying to get up in? Like, is it just like predominantly we going to like just show most of the love to South Side? And then
Yeah,
when that's
probably
done-
most of the love. Just because when I moved to Richmond, that was home base.
Okay.
And I've been there. I've been in Richmond 20 years this year, and like the first 15 or 16 of those were in Southside.
Okay.
And I'm the most familiar with like the Southside. But I would love to paint more in Northside, East End, like all that. You know what I'm saying? Where our people are. You know?
Yeah. So that's another thing I was going to ask you to explain or you two, because you guys are both Southside babies. Can you just let the people know? Because I'm not from Richmond. I'm a guest. I'm a visitor. Can you guys let the people know like what is the South Side of Richmond?
So in Richmond, we have different parts. So you got a north side, south side, east and west end. That's how it's divided up. So the south side is the south of the James River. And so that's where, so we had this talk last time about how I wasn't born here. I came down here when I was 2. So I've been on the south side though, like my whole life until I grew up. And then, moved out to different parts of the city and whatnot. So, yeah, that's it. Did I explain? You want me to go into more detail?
Where we at?
Right now we're downtown.
No, I'm talking about like where we at? Like, cause like in different parts of the city. So you said south side, north side, east end, west end.
We in all of those areas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't really go to the north side because, back in the day they used to have beef. I don't really know if it's still happening.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Black people can be found in every part of those towns.
Okay.
Most of the Saxons are like in the Fan, Short Pump, the counties, different stuff like that.
Okay.
Chesterfield, yeah.
There's a long history with Southside with like redlining
Word.
and like being annexed, like a lot of political, sort of like socio-political stuff. But the redlining sort of pushed Black population to Southside. And that's why Southside has kind of been like disinvested like all these years.
Yeah. And, like I was saying, like it's weird now for me to, see people who don't look like us in certain parts of town. Like I was telling you, we were on Whole Street yesterday. You can literally stay on Whole Street and drive and watch it change from predominantly Black to predominantly white.
Right.
How it goes from the city to the county. And it's just weird how, for years, they never cared. They never cared to, throw us resources, fix it up or anything like that. And now that people are coming in and wanting to gentrify it, now we're, starting to get all of the things. I was pissed off yesterday when that lady said we were trespassing.
So I know you hate when I look in the camera, but
No, go ahead. Look in the camera for that one.
So we out with the homie Silly. We're getting footage of his art around the south side of Richmond. And we go to this lot, like we're outside of this one part where it's on a street. So we can't park on the street. There's nowhere to actually park, but there was this vacant lot. And when I say it was vacant, it was bald headed. It was just it looked like they were doing nothing with the space. So we parked the car there, and we weren't going to be there long. We probably were going to spend maybe 10 minutes in this location. And you know, this non
Complexion for protection. A Saxon. She came right on over there with her lawnmower.
Yeah, like
and told us we needed to move because we were trespassing.
She instantly told us that we can't park there, that we're trespassing. And it triggered Alex. And the fact that it triggered Alex in a way that, like, I was intrigued to know why. I always want to know the why. You know, why did it trigger you so much? And I already kind of know why. Any of y'all say anything to me where I can't be, you know.
Yeah.
I'm in a different area though, so this isn't where I'm from, so I don't really know how to get down here, and I don't want to disrespect you. But she was about to get cussed out. She was about to get rolled up out of here.
Yeah, she was.
She was about to get rolled up out of
here.
She was. You know what I mean? But I'll try to pay, you know, close attention to how you move.
No,
and how
you saw me getting
because
turned
this is in
up.
my area. But she would.
I was getting turned up.
That would have never been a thing in Philly. It would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
So it triggered you because, come to find out, that location actually was a prominent Black-owned grocery store.
Yes. If you know, we're on Southside, it's Bainbridge, where the old Community Pride used to be, right there. The building is still there, the lot is still there. So for her to be in that space telling me that I'm trespassing pissed me off.
Yeah, man.
Because when did you get here?
With the lawnmower.
With the lawnmower.
You didn't even have a nice
I've
lawnmower.
I've never seen you over this part of town before. Like, what? Yeah, it was not a good time for me.
Yeah, that's triggering. I think that people don't understand, like, when you think of, like, gentrification, you think of opportunities to move into a space, right? You know, like, people want to live in the city now, but seldom do people think of the displacement. They don't think of the displacement of people that lived in these locations that have been void of resources for so long, to the point where, you know, you can't build economic growth in these locations. And it's not even like a race thing, it's more of a class thing, because I tell people all the time that Black people can be gentrifiers.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we are. And we don't respect the space. We move into a space, we want to be in proximity to where the things are happening,
right,
but we don't engulf ourselves in the community that was already there. You know what I mean? Like, I felt that way when I moved to Philly, because I'm not from Philly, but I have roots in Philly. Even though I have roots in Philly, and I have family that have lived in Philly since the early 1900s. You know what I'm saying? So I found a love for Philly by way of my dad. My dad grew up in North Jersey, but, like, he loved Philly, and he moved there when he was a young man. So I kind of have a special place in my heart for Philly, and it's being, like, vastly gentrified. And I mean, like, they come into this space, there's no sense of community anymore. But you wanted to be here because of the community that was here, right?
Yeah.
And you displace those people, and then what you replace it with is not community at all. You don't even speak.
Yeah.
And it's like the fact that it's not even that, like, soon as we hopped out the G-Rod, she was like, you're trespassing. And then she got on the phone.
Yeah.
She got on the phone. Like, who you calling?
Who you calling?
Who you calling?
The cops.
Can't help you. Take about 5 minutes to get here.
I was so tight.
So you were also triggered a little bit too yesterday.
Yeah. Because it's like, you know, if you spend any time around there, you can kind of tell when people are out of place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was clearly out of place.
Clearly.
And out of pocket.
Yeah, definitely.
Out of pocket. So one of the things that you discussed yesterday when we were driving around was how, like, you've tried to keep it community based. You've been trying to kind of, like, put a slow, like, try to slow down the gentrification process by saying, hey, like, let us in. Like, let us do some of these things that, you know, you guys got going on. There's a lot of money on the table. Give some of the resources to us. You know, let us do some of the things. Can you explain a little bit of that?
Because it's one of those things, like if you're ever in like the nonprofit space, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. The people that live like in this community aren't idiots. They know how to fix the problems they have. They just don't have the resources to do so. So I live here, you know what I mean? We all live here. We can all point to, okay, this space needs this, these people needs this over here. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom, boom. Just give me the resources to do so and we'll take care of it ourselves. But most often it's always somebody coming in like, this is how I'm gonna help you. It's like, yo, I didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is what we need.
Mm.
If you don't wanna do that, then you know what I'm saying? You can go back over there with that. And a lot of, at least what we're trying to do, just requires space. Like money is always gonna be a problem, but we need space more than we need anything because a thing in Richmond, Alice can attest to this, is places pop up where culture sort of like centers on, and then somebody comes in and just like pulls the rug from under us. Like we'll have a music venue that'll be popping. Give it 2-3 years, somebody's gonna come in like, there's too many of y'all around here. Shut it down.
Yeah.
It's happened so many times. I've lost count. And the only way I can see around that is to like own things.
Right.
So it's like, yo, if we own the spot, you can't come take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now we can just do what we do and keep the energy, the money, whatever, in that community. We don't have to worry about any sort of like people getting it popping and then like, yo, we're gonna take this to the West End.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, it's gonna stay right here, Southside. And if you wanna experience it, you have to come here.
Right.
Like there's no sort of like, she'll tell you it's a thing where people are like, yes, that's across the bridge, I ain't going over there. It's like, yo, it's not the North Korean border. Drive across the bridge, you know what I mean? But that's a lot of what I try to at least using art and using the sort of community around art and that thing that like connects people and brings people together, trying to use that to like bring some of the energy back to Southside and like let it be home here. We don't have to, why does everybody have to leave where they are to come down here, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and you also kind of explained how there's a lot of vacant buildings, a lot of vacant spaces that people are just like gatekeeping. They're not even utilizing the spaces for anything good. They're kind of like just waiting.
Yeah, they're just parking on it.
For
Waiting
it to,
for that gentrification check.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Oh, you want to build some condos? I have a perfect property. Like,
exactly.
cut me a check.
But they're not doing anything with the space now. And you've even tried to, you know, get on the line like, yo, you know, we want to do a pop-up here. And they coming back asking for the
bag. And aren't even in Virginia doing that. You all the way across the other side of the United States
You all
in
the way in
California.
California gentrifying over there.
Talk about, nah, it's gonna be this much. What you mean?
It ain't nothing. We breaking in. You ain't gonna know. You ain't gonna know. By the time you find out, we out of there. So it's, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, man, honestly, y'all city gotta get on point with that. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that like this is a beautiful city. Honestly, when I first came to Richmond, I hated it. I'm gonna keep it 100. I hated it. There's a lot of cops, a heavy police presence. I got pulled over twice in less than 15 minutes. I drive. I don't speed. I drive. Siri put me on some back road and it looked like a sundown town.
Okay.
So me and my shorty, we was out. I didn't feel safe. Yeah. It was in the middle of the night. You know, when you driving up 95, you kind of have to travel in the middle of the night or super early in the morning because you don't want to hit that traffic. And it put us somewhere that looked unsafe for us. And I got us out of there. And I got pulled over twice. And I was just like, this is too much. So now I take the train down and it's a much better experience. And I've been able to see different parts of the city. And I like it. I think the city is dope. I think that you guys got something going. So the fact that like the city of Richmond itself is not pouring the resources where they need to go is like, yo, it's such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
It's such a missed opportunity. And it's like, yo, it's money talks, bullshit walks. You know what I'm saying? But the issue is that they don't see where the money can really go, where it's coming from, and what it can be. You know what I mean? Like,
Especially from the arts scene.
from the art scene, because like a person like me who does have some capital that might be looking to move somewhere different, I might not want to go to a place that's so stark, that feels so like,
Yeah.
confined. You know what I mean? I've lived in places like that where it was hard to find community, Dallas being one of them. And the homies in Dallas was going through the same thing you going through. Like, yo, give us the resources. We could make it. We could build it. We know what needs to be done. Just give it to us. And it never gets done.
Yeah, we don't like Richmond is. We don't have an independent Office of Cultural Affairs, so that's already like there's like no art department that's like independent enough to like call the shots. So they have to report to Planning Commission and whoever else, who of course are always going to be like nah. And then most of the art here is funded through like corporations, private donors, all that. So they always got their fingers in the pie for whatever their agenda is, which was a big problem with the mural festivals and like where the murals were painted and all that sort of thing, which was like the start of All City. So like all those things play into like who gets to make what art and where, and a lot more of the reasons the art scene is sort of like in the situation that it's in is because of policy. It's like less about the art, because the artists are here and they're doing their thing, but like it's only so much we can do against policy. And we need the people to come out and actually like push for things on our behalf, because there's only so much, you know what I mean, the artists can do.
Yeah. So what stops people from leaving? Like, why are you still here?
It's just Richmond has like it's hard to put into words. The sort of like, you know, something in the water thing about Virginia, like it extends to Richmond too.
Yeah.
There is a ton of talent that comes out of Richmond that people sort of like, it just like flies under the radar. Like people from Richmond go out into the rest of the country and are superstars. But here in Richmond, they're just like regular people, you know what I mean? Like there's people like Obliv, who is like your favorite producer's favorite producer.
Crazy.
Nicholas F.
Yep.
Butcher Brown is like on an incredible run right now.
Crazy.
Like Anderson .Paak was just here, like, yo, I'm going to see the homies. And he's
Yeah.
walking around Richmond. The Super Bowl, the halftime NFL song, you know what I mean? Like, what's the shorty's name from, is Constance Wu? She was the mom on Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah.
She's from here, you know what I mean? They're filming TV shows here. They were just filming Swagger. They're filming, Pharrell's here filming his biopic. They were filming Homeland. They filmed Homeland here. They filmed The Walking Dead here. It's just stuff happening.
All types of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't get that. Very few places where you can get that. You know what I mean? That isn't New York or LA. So it's still relatively affordable. I don't know how much longer. Very few places where you can sort of like do your thing without having to like move to a major city. You can still afford to be in the spaces that we're in and rub shoulders with the kind of people that live here. That's why I've stayed here. But I don't know. And Richmond just has something special that you just can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And too, like I keep saying, because I've been a big like champion of trying to keep the creatives here and not going into, you know, bigger cities. Because we have to remember that Richmond is the former capital of the Confederacy. So the city has never been as inclusive as it is right now. And even though we definitely still have, a ways to go, like we have to stay here and just take advantage of the opportunities that we have now that we didn't have years ago. So I just feel like we should stop leaving and taking our talents to New York or LA, and in these other places, and just stay here and build our city up.
Yeah, man. You see a lot of other places where they have that grassroots. They are building the city up. We were talking about this before we started recording. We were talking about places like Detroit, talking about places like Oakland, different places, even Baltimore, North New Jersey. It's different places where there are not a lot of resources being poured into those spaces, but there's still great things happening. Even like a city like Philly, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel this way about Philly. Philly is like, it's a weird place to me now because there's so much there, but it's also nothing there. But there's so much there. There's so much opportunity that I feel like y'all not capitalizing on what y'all really should be capitalizing on, because you're like arm's reach from DC, you're arm's reach from New York. And instead of like cultivating what Philly is, instead you're trying to look at what DC is. You're trying to look at what New York is. And you're trying to implement that instead of building up what you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what Philly's dealing with right now. But you also have a lot of like great artists there that refuse to leave, but because they have not left, they're not really getting on the way that I feel like they deserve to be put on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that spaces
I feel like
this
every
exist.
city kind of goes through that. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, home is like more closer to the heart, but I feel like every city has that sort of like thing where there's like an incredible amount of talent to be found there, but the powers that be, whoever, are always like, yo, look what they're doing over there. It's like, damn, like we
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's doing the thing. You just paid attention or just like uplifted the people that you have. You wouldn't have to go out searching for whatever the new thing is you're trying to be. It's like it's already happening. You just need to like look inward.
Yeah.
Right. I think it also has a lot to do with money.
Definitely.
I was just talking to this great photographer that's about to start working with us, Mochi. And, he put it perfect. He's like, yo, like community and money don't always mix. Like when you're trying to build, you're trying to facilitate something, you know what I mean? It's not about the money. It's about the community first.
Yeah.
And honestly, like this is what Cool in Real Life is kind of birthed out of, because we're tired of the powers that be being the ones to dictate what's cool when they're not the ones that are cool.
Yeah.
And they're actually looking at us that are cool
For the
and they're
sauce.
replicating it.
Yeah.
And they're the ones with the capital. They're the ones with the resources. So they have the wherewithal. Not that we don't have the wherewithal, but they have the resources to get it done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're pulling certain ones of us, and we're allowing ourselves to be used.
Yeah.
And we're going into these spaces and we're building up other spaces instead of saying, nah, man, I don't care what kind of bag you got for me. It's not really speaking true to what is needed.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that what you're doing is dope, man.
Thank you.
From an outsider coming in here, like just now meeting you not too long ago, I think that it's dope because it speaks to everything that I'm about. And it's really awesome to be able to meet other people that care that much.
Yeah. Like I abandoned the idea of fame a long time ago. Because I just like celebrity is just it's just very dehumanizing to me, and I just like really don't want any parts of that. And then I work in the arts. Like I am not under the sort of illusion that every person who makes art will become a millionaire or whatever. Like I very well may be a working class artist for the rest of my life, but making art fulfills me, and I want to sort of like you know that thing of like being what you didn't have when you were young.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, there were no like super famous black artists. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There was sort of like musicians and actors and whatnot, but there was no specific other than like a Basquiat. You know what I mean? Who I could point to like, yo, I see myself in him. Like there was no. There weren't any like super famous like black illustrators in comics or any of that, you know what I mean, that I could just like open a magazine and see. So now I'm trying to like pay it forward, you know what I mean, more or less. And I don't have to, I'm okay with like walking away from like projects or whatever that don't like feed me in that way. Like you can just tell when somebody's like, yeah, I'm just trying to get a bag off of you. But they're not trying to give you a bag in return.
Right.
Like you're just trying to use whatever we got going on to like further whatever agenda you got.
Right.
And it's just gotten easier as I've gotten older to just walk away from that sort of stuff. Like I want to do things that I know I can like look back at and feel good about being a part of.
Yeah.
Versus like jobs that I just did for a check. You know, I've done those jobs and it's like, I don't even want to put my name on it at the end of the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, integrity is everything, man.
Yeah.
Integrity is everything. That's something that there's no price on that. There's literally no price on that. And I think that like we just have to stay steadfast. I know that we live in a capitalistic society and we need money to live, right? Like we need that, but we got to stop selling ourselves short. You know what I mean? I think that we also have to stop living in this dream of like, I'm going to be able to quit my day job and do this.
Yeah.
Some of us can't.
Yeah.
I'm still working my day job. This here is a labor of love.
Just became a full-time artist like 5 years ago. I am 43. Like my whole adult life, I've been a forklift driver, you know, retail.
Yeah.
I worked every just shitty job you can think of. And I'm just now becoming a full-time artist. So like, it's not, you know, those 20-year-old dreams of like, I'm gonna be a millionaire at 25. It's like, nah, it's let go of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was this actress, the OG from 227.
Which OG?
Dang, it was a lot of OGs on there.
So which one?
She played in some other stuff, man. If I could think of her name, I'm a like maybe we could edit like a picture.
Okay.
We could put her up. We gotta put the OG up. But like, huh?
The mom?
I don't know, man. She
Those
was
always in the window?
I don't know. She was I think the
one in the window.
Yeah, the one
Pearl.
in the Pearl. It's the one with the bigger glasses, right? Pearl. I think it was Pearl.
Okay.
I think it was Pearl. But she basically was saying like, I don't have a problem with getting up and getting a job. Like I love cinema. I love working in film. I love this, but I don't mind working a job.
Yeah.
And she's worked all different types of odd end jobs and she talked about it. And I thought that was phenomenal, you know, but also like when you're able to kind of like continue to work and you're able to feed yourself, you can keep that integrity intact a lot easier. You don't have to take on everything, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shout out Dana, she walking by. That's the homie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. We ain't gonna let you walk by without saying
Right.
that. Come on, trying to sneak up out of here. We
on,
in a
man.
whole open space.
Walk on by, Deion Ward.
I like Isaac Hayes a little bit better.
Yeah, because I don't even like Deion.
Why?
I'll tell you later.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Now they gonna want to know why. The people gonna want to know why. You shouldn't have said it.
I just don't.
Okay. Well, I like the Isaac Hayes joint.
Yeah.
Walk on by.
Me too.
That's a classic. But yeah, man. Did you want to say anything? Because I feel like I've been.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to talk about a couple things, like how being in this role of, trying to bring art to our neighborhood and, run into a bunch of roadblocks, how that has like kind of pushed you into like baby activism, like a little bit, like.
Yeah, I starting All City was low key, like I can admit, kind of sort of like very selfish, because it was really just like, yo, I'm nice. Let me get a wall too. You know what I mean? And then you just kind of going through the motions of, there's no other way to get walls other than just knocking on doors. Like, can I paint here? And 100 people tell you no before one says yes. So in doing the sort of like logging onto the city website, who owns this building, and tracking people down, and you realize like, hey, none of these buildings are owned by anybody that actually lives in the city. And calling people, and then, what I'm saying, getting the nose. I remember a very specific incident where I tracked the building down, and it was very obviously like a shell corporation.
Wow.
That was like, so digging deeper, I found the law office that represented the shell company. And I go to the office and I'm like, yo, I'm here. Like, I'm a street artist, muralist. This building is pretty dope. Can I paint here? And the lady flat out kicked me out of the office on some like, yeah, I'm not answering none of those questions. You can leave.
Wow.
I was just like, oh, okay, all right.
You had to clench your locks. Not your pearls, your locks. You had to clench your locks.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So you just kind of like get it. Once you start to peek behind the curtain of like how money moves, like who is in control of what, and you realize like one real estate company owns like 90% of the city.
Yeah.
You just see their signs everywhere, and it's like, yo, I can't escape these people. And they have their foot on just everything. Like nothing moves without going through them first.
Yeah.
And then they're also like one of the biggest donors to the art scene.
Exactly.
So it's like, they can just control everything. And once you see that, it's kind of hard to unsee it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you there is no choice but to like, it's like one of those get down or lay down situations. Either you play the game they playing, or you try to figure out how to like push them back to do your own thing.
Yeah.
And I chose the latter. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I'm tired of the way y'all are like just moving, and especially in regards to culture. Like, even if we take away like race and we take away class, y'all just whack.
Right. Whack.
This is not even the dope. Like, this is not the dope shit. What are y'all doing? Like, this is just corny. Like, y'all just keep doing this very sort of like watered down, middle of the mall bullshit, trying to cast a wide net. And it's like, nah, that's not what's hot. Like, what we doing is really what's happening.
Right.
Y'all over here trying to do some like Disney Channel family friendly shit. I don't want no parts of that. That shit corny.
Yeah, man. Damn.
Yeah. It's real whack.
It is whack. It is whack, man. It is whack. And I already talked about it. They're not the ones that's like.
They're not.
It's not them.
Yeah.
But it takes. There's a lot of them, but there's more of us. And it just takes us to show up.
Yeah.
We just have to continue to show up. Like, those roadblocks that we keep getting hit with, we gotta continue to like just bulldoze through all of that shit. Like, we just have to continue to show up.
Let's really get into like a thing. It's not just the creatives themselves. It's the consumer, the fan, whatever. Like, I'm not a musician, but I like dope music.
Yeah.
We need music venues. Like, why we gotta, if you out there and you like music, then you gotta raise hell too. You know what I mean? Like, call your city council people, whoever you need to call, but like, it's like, have you ever thought about the fact that Richmond doesn't have bars? Like, every bar is a restaurant. Like, you can't sell alcohol without selling food. So everything automatically becomes a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I think about the implications of that, of like, you want to open a bar.
Yeah.
And the first thing they tell you is like, yo, you gotta sell food. So, I mean, I don't even know the numbers, but let's just say it costs you $25 grand to open a bar. But then now you gotta open a restaurant because you have to sell food. So now the $25 grand is $250 grand because you gotta open the kitchen and you got to have the sink, and you got to have the
Yeah.
hood over the stove, and you got to pass the little test with the gas and all this other stuff.
Right.
When you could have just been selling drinks and having people perform.
Yeah.
And how easy would that have been?
Yeah.
And then what would that venue, the existence of that venue, what sort of opportunity would it have presented to like musicians in the community? Like, yo, now I got a place to perform. Like, it's layers to the whole thing. And it's all policy that's keeping it all shaped the way that it's shaped.
I wonder if BYOB falls under the same guidelines of that.
I mean, let's be real.
I know BYOB suck. I hate them.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I
It
don't
sucks,
feel
but
like
also,
bring 'em
like,
home.
even if the people were like, all right, cool, we cool with BYOB, they're going to shut that down immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy, man.
they could be out there carding people and doing whatever. So that's not even like a workaround that would last. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the end game? Like, what do we do? Like, what's the end game?
I mean, collective action, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not the smartest person
Yeah.
on that sort of thing. I usually defer to people who have been in the game far longer than me. Like, Deron Chavis is like the big homie, like the guy who he built that garden we went to. There's another garden like literally 3 blocks away. There's an orchard up the street, which is like incredible. I should have took you there.
Wow.
But the orchard is like, the orchard feels like you're being transported to another like dimension.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's in the
it's-
South Side?
Yeah, it's like right off of Midlow. You know where the what is it? Chesterfield Auto Parts.
Yeah.
So you know how crazy that intersection is. But if you make that right, the orchard is tucked back there. And like as soon as you turn off the street, it's just serene. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't even feel like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And he's a person who's like really, really like Southside
Yeah.
native, you know what I mean? Who understands policy and the law, and like this history can tell you
Right.
far more than I could ever, you know what I'm saying, know. And he's a person that like I follow what he's talking about, you know what I mean? And there's just a ton of people in the city like that who are just like really about the improving the life of our people in Southside specifically, like
Yeah.
people like Amy at Southside Relief, who are like trying to plant trees in Southside because it's also not only a food desert but a heat table. Like it'd be 85 degrees over here. You go to Southside, it's 100. You know what I mean? Just because there's no trees.
Man.
So like people like that are sort of like the people that I look to, and like how can I use what we're doing to sort of bring attention to or like sort of like lift up what they're doing.
Yeah, man. We talked about the trees yesterday too.
Yeah.
We talked about the trees because I've been reading about these daggone trees.
Yeah.
But like we said it, how they're about to make this crazy transformation and turn like a certain area of the city into like park area. And I'm like, well, I mean, a green space is good. It's nice to have a green space. However, a real green space is uninterrupted. If we're not creating like uninterrupted nature, like spaces for nature to take hold and be uninterrupted, then we're really not doing much of anything.
Yeah.
We're not creating real green space. It's like an illusion. And it's like, yo, we got to get away from that. So I think like that's dope as hell to put an orchard in the middle of the hood.
Yeah.
If you ever go out there,
We
like,
going out there.
I've been out there like, and he has like he's built like, because the deer are always out there, so it like kind of protect the space from the deer eating all the fruits, vegetables they grow in.
Yeah.
They put these walls up, and he's gotten like artists from around the city to paint murals in the orchard.
Wow.
And I've been out there with like the homie, like just they're working on the mural, and I just like throw my drop cloth under the tree. I'm gonna take a nap real quick while
Yeah.
you painting. It's that nice out there. So yeah,
Wow. Yeah, we definitely have to. Maybe we could hit that up tomorrow.
yeah.
That's-
He's got like a kitchen out there, solar powered. You know what I'm saying? You can cook out there.
What?
Yeah.
He's so dope, and they give him such a hard time too. That's not about him. I'm just saying the people who want to do like so much good in this city and for us in our communities, they give them such a hard time.
Because it's not meant to happen.
Yeah.
That's why the resources are pulled out, extracted out. You know what I mean? Because it's not that black and brown folk don't have capital. We do. I think the studies show that. You know what I mean? We do have the capital. It's that in order to have this capitalistic society, someone has to be at the bottom. And they're going to continue to ensure that there is a bottom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that younger generations are bucking the system because it's like, hell nah. Like, what you mean? Like, I got to be at the bottom for what? I work hard just like anybody else. So now we see a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of artists like yourself, like, nah, like, that's corny. Like, what you mean I got to be in this area of the city? Why not where I'm from? You know, it's little black and brown kids that's walking these streets every day. They deserve to be inspired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man, how would the younger you feel about the you today?
Oh, I'd be over the moon. You know what I mean? Like, there are things that I wanted to do as a kid that I haven't achieved, and then, you know, priorities and dreams change and whatnot. But like, to see some of the things that I've been able to do in the last few years, like high school me would be tripping.
Dope.
You know what I mean? Just like some of the people that I've met, the places that I've been, the things that like I've been able to create were beyond my wildest dreams. Like in high school, I just wanted to work in comic books. You know what I mean? And though I haven't done that, I've done a bunch of other stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, man, like representation matters, you know what I mean? So like y'all being intentional about putting your work in those neighborhoods and then how that has inspired the people who live there. You know what I mean? How you were telling us that they get so emotional when they see, you know, the murals up. Because nobody ever bothers to come and beautify our communities. So I just think that's dope that you've provided them like with that experience. You know what I mean? Right.
Tell us the story when after we got done with the trespassing lady. There was a beautiful story that came out of that. That piece that you did out there.
Yeah. So the underpass. Like, there's an old underpass in Southside on Bainbridge. Like, the train tracks are gone, but the underpass is still there. And it's a spot that always floods. It's kind of just like ugly gray walls. And we had a situation come where we could paint murals there. And one side of the underpass is the homies Nad and Austin. Shout out Nad and Austin. And they kind of took pictures of the neighborhood and put the pieces in the mural. And a guy walked by who lived in one of the pictures of like the houses they use as a reference. And he was telling us a story about how he had spent some time in Brazil living in the favelas, and that row house reminded him of the favelas. And he's like in tears telling us a story about like coming back to Richmond and the experiences he had in Brazil, making him want to be like more community oriented and like all this stuff. And he goes and he gets his grandkids and they come back and he's telling us the story and he's like in tears. And when you like around people like having that sort of emotion, you get emotional too.
Right.
So like I'm on the verge of tears. And he's not even really he's talking more to Austin and Nad because it's their part of the wall, but I'm like there hearing the story. And he's just like one of many stories we've like had like that. Like the first wall that I took y'all to, a big part of the mural is Austin painted this female figure with like Bantu knots. And this lady comes out and she's like roughly 60, 70. And she was saying how she had been living there practically her entire life. And she never once thought she would see representation of herself on the wall. And like, she's like on the verge of tears.
Yeah.
Wow.
Children are coming up and just like, their parents are like, yo, he begs me to come by this wall every day when I pick him up from school because he wants to see how much farther y'all have gotten in the mural. And he's like, yo, this is my favorite part of the mural. Take a picture with me. You know, that sort of like, there's no some money that can replace those sort of interactions because this is why we're doing it. Like, we want people to feel like this about the neighborhood that they're in.
Yeah.
Like, there are studies about your surroundings affecting you, like, mentally and like psychologically. And if you're walking by a broken down, abandoned building every day for your entire life, like, how does that make you feel about yourself inside?
Yeah.
But if you come outside and all of a sudden there's this big, beautiful mural, it's yours now. You know what I mean? Like, when you walk around the corner, like, it's my hood. You know what I mean? You see this mural, this is ours. And that's kind of why we do what we like, why we're putting the art that we're making in these places.
Yeah.
It's because I want people to, like, walk down the street and be like, you know, this is our hood. Like, you can't come over here with that nonsense. Look at this. You can't, don't interrupt this.
Yeah,
So,
this is ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is ours. I felt that way when I first moved to Philly. When I like got my like official spot in Philly, I was living on Cecil B. Moore Ave, and that, you know, that strip is right now it's a little rough. You know what I mean? But I loved it because even though I could live anywhere in the city I want to see myself.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're the canvas, right? Like the people. So the art reflects that. You know what I mean? And my thing was just like, yo, this is ours. Pick up the trash. I would get out there and just pick the trash up. You know
Sweep
what I
the
mean?
sidewalk off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cut the grass, like all of that.
I started this little initiative at the time. This was probably like 2019, 2020. Free the Hood project. It kind of was like combating gentrification. Not to double back on that because we already talked about that, but they're building up a lot. There's this street called Ridge Ave, and in North Philly, like, they're just building up like so much on this street where it's not even recognizable anymore. And there was this street art that I would pass every day. I would see it coming home from work, and it was just so simple, but it was so like transformative. It said "Free the Hood." It said "Free the Hood," and that shit like really touched me in such a deep way, and it just made me want to give to the community in whatever way that I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And art does that.
Yeah.
Art inspires. So like you said, like, you know, you have a person, no matter the age, walking by trash every day, walking by something that's broken down every day. What does that do to a person's mental? You feel like trash.
Yeah.
You feel like you're nothing. I remember when that building, I lived in a gentrified building. Like, that building was like a new build. Because all of those houses were like just broken down. You know what I mean? And the sewage, like the plumbing was messed up. You know, like, we talked about it, how they be building stuff and they don't be finishing it right. But they be building in our communities and they just throw it up. And they don't even care about the quality. And it was like fecal matter coming out on the sidewalk. And I had to like really like drive it home. Like, this is a health hazard.
Yeah.
It's little kids, it's people in this community that walk back and forth. Imagine if you had to walk over shit every day to get to school, to get to work. Imagine if the only grocery store you have is the bodega.
Yeah.
The poppy store. We call them poppy stores in Philly. You know, the poppy store. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that do to a person? You know what I mean? And I saw what it does to a person. I saw an older person peeing in an empty lot on the side of somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? That's what it did to him.
Yeah.
It made him feel like this is just a cesspool. So I might as well add to it. And I remember yelling out the window. I did put a little bit of bass in my voice, but I was like, yo, King, like, this is ours.
Yeah.
So the fact that you say that, like, I live that. Like, this is ours. And with you doing that, that's why they feel like they have a right to come into this space and do what they do. Because we don't show up the way that we need to show up. Sometimes we need to show up a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
And some things are just outside of our control, right? Because ownership is what can stop this, and we don't have it sometimes to go that route. And they close doors in our faces like they're closing yours, you know what I mean? But like, it's dope that you putting a mural out there that makes people feel like, yo, this is ours.
Yeah.
You can't come in here and just mess it up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I do want to circle back, and I know we talked about it yesterday, but I'm gonna get you to talk about them again. Some of the specific murals. So we talked about the Richmond one. We talked about the one on Bainbridge, But the other side of the street, the one that you did, with the partner, the one that says Swansboro,
Yeah.
like, what was the inspiration behind like putting Swansboro,
Just a
specifically?
conversation with a friend of mine's, like uncle, I believe, and how he was like, yo, that part of the neighborhood was always called Swansboro, and he was just like, yeah, I don't really rock with this Manchester, you know what I'm saying, whatever, and it was just like, all right, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that there it is, you know what I mean, just
Oh my
let's
God.
just like pay homage to
Yeah.
like the people who were there long before us,
Yeah.
and just big bold letters, you know what I mean,
Wow.
Swansboro.
I love that so much because we were talking about yesterday about how, they are renaming parts of our neighborhoods, Manchester, when we know that's Blackwell. Like trying to call it Dogtown, this is Blackwell. You know what I mean? So to specifically like put up there like, no, this part right here historically has been Swansboro. And then it just tag it like giant like that. Man, talk about taking that power back. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Man, art takes the power back. Especially art that reflects the times, art that reflects the space and the people. That's how we take the power back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was the convenience store. And I don't know if it's because like it's the black, like with all of the characters and stuff like that, but I really, really like that one too. Tell me just about like, the inspiration behind that. Was you and a couple other.
Yeah, me and Chris Visions. Shout out Chris. Chris, again, back to what we were saying about like why I stay in Richmond and like the people that are here. Like Chris Visions is, in my opinion, and sure many others, one of the best illustrators on the planet.
Yes.
Like he's like up there, like untouchable. But that's the homie, you know what I mean? Like, yo, we get so all over, you trying to go paint. And so it's just me and him just kind of like rocking out for like a week. And it's like an old busted corner store. The roof is trash. The gutters are like falling off the side of the building, but we got paint. So like, yo, can we paint here? Bet. And we just do our thing. And it's like just a kind of celebration of like our childhood and video games we grew up on and cartoons we grew up on. And there's like 5 different streets that meet at that one point. And all day long, it's just people like pulling up, honking the horn, walking by, like, yo, that's fire. Like you can see it like all the way down the street.
Yeah.
You just coming up to it. And we wanted it to be like, the garden is right there, literally across the street is this corner store. And we wanted it to be like a beacon. Like if you're coming down the street, you can't help but like feel good pulling up to it because you got this garden right here, it's lush and green and fruits and vegetables everywhere, and then there's a corner store just covered in like colorful art.
Yeah.
Like just like nostalgia, you know what I mean? Like you just can't help but feel good pulling up to it.
Yeah.
And that was the aim going into it. Nothing like sort of, overtly whatever.
Right.
It's just like, yeah, we want people to feel good. And
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I love how, like we did talk about that garden, but on the back, there's those kernels and you had that personal story about the corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just project for the city to put the container. Well, the project was public art that was also functional, and knowing the community there and what they do is like, yo, build a shed. You know what I mean? Solar panels on the roof. They need power because there's no electricity in that park.
Yeah.
Not even street lights. So like that, and wanted to put something extremely personal or relatable to the people there. So one side is about a story Duran told me about why he started farming, about knowing an older farmer and realizing like, yo, this dude is not gonna be here forever.
Wow.
And we can't let that knowledge die with him. So him like learning from the elder. And then the side with the corn is about a memory I have of shucking corn with my grandmother, and like being super young. I couldn't have been any more than like 7 or 8, and just remembering like the pain of plucking the kernels out of the cob and like shucking the corn, and I just like very distinct memory about farming, and just kind of like putting them up there for anybody who kind of like, so many people in the South have that memory. So
Yeah,
it was just
for
kind
sure.
of like, yeah.
Yeah. There was that one, and I know there was another on
The
that
nail
street.
salon.
Yeah,
The nail salon was just another fun one. It was
Yeah.
just, I got some grant money. I'm looking for walls. Young black girls opening her first salon.
Dope.
Like, yo, can I paint here? You got any suggestions? She was like, I don't care. Do
Yeah.
what you do. Like, I know who you are. I'm trusting you to do what you do.
wow.
So yeah, it's just something super colorful and fun, sort of representative of what's happening there.
Right.
And yeah, she was super jazzed about it. Everybody kind of loves that. You're coming through the light, you have to see it.
You
It's
do.
like unavoidable. So yeah.
And then the last one we went to on the side of that building that the guy owned, but he was trying to give you a hard time about letting you tag it.
Oh,
at first.
on the intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's thrift store. The guy, he just assumed that the city had to approve like whatever. And at first he didn't want to let us paint there. Then he saw another mural we did and he was like, yo, I seen, this wall, I can still come over here and paint.
Word.
And it was just another sort of like jamming out with the homies, me and Prentice and Lonnie. Shout out Prentice and Lonnie. Just kind of having fun. And we wanted people to like come through that intersection and just, because it's an ugly brown building. That building is horrible. It's like yellow and brown, which don't even go together. You know what I mean?
It do if you're thinking about something. You thinking about what I'm thinking about, it do.
Yeah.
I just want people to feel good. Like I lived around the corner. Like I lived on 32nd Street, and if either direction walking up and down Hall, I had to walk past that same building, and I know how it made me feel.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how it made people feel who had lived there their entire lives. You know what I mean? I wasn't born in Richmond. So yeah, just trying to like leave things behind that help people. You know what I mean? How like I'm not. You know, again, back to your point about becoming a sort of like mini activist. I'm not working in a space that's like super sort of like it's not food, it's not education, it's not housing, whatever. So I'm like art isn't quote unquote vital to your survival, but we still need it. But it's not like very high in the hierarchy of needs. But what I do can sort of like raise awareness, you know what I mean, more or less. Like the Richmond mural, there's a bus stop right there, but that bus stop didn't have a trash can or a bench before we painted that mural.
Wow.
It was just the bus stop. So people would just be out there standing in the sun, you know what I mean? And the second we painted that mural, it's like, oh, yo, there's a bus stop here? Why don't we have no bench? Why don't we have no trash can?
Yeah.
And bench and trash can pop up, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So that sort of thing of like, not only am I gonna make it beautiful, but also because it's so beautiful, you then notice everything around it.
Yeah.
Like, yo, this is beautiful. Why is there so much glass and trash in this empty lot right next to it? So, yeah.
Wow.
Has and this is my last point. Has that thought about wanting to make things beautiful shaped your art style, or wanting to make things fun, you know what I mean, and wanting to make people feel good? Has that shaped? Because I always tell you like you're my favorite, and like how you do like Afrofuturism, and you just like include Black people in your work, you know what I mean, and usually in like art forms like anime or you know whatever future. They act like Black people don't belong in fantasy. It's wild to me. So like, are you intentional about doing that because of that fact?
I think that sort of stuff was just there, you know what I mean, in my art. Like, you know, I'm a science fiction nerd.
Yeah.
I love fantasy, love Star Trek, and I love Dungeons and Dragons and like all the stuff like everybody else. I think it definitely changed how I approached community. Like the art itself doesn't really have a lot of like political statement or whatever in it, but it definitely changed how I like move with like bringing people together. Like art is a very sort of like solitary practice. You kind of spend a lot of time alone with your own ideas and the making of the art, but how I presented it and how I like wanted people to come together to see it definitely changed in the sort of community work around murals and like all of that sort of stuff. Like this show, even in the title, The Den of Ingenuity, is like the den, the living room, where the family sort of, we all come together. It's Friday night. We're gonna watch TGIF. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like all the kids are in there Saturday morning, we're watching cartoons.
Yeah.
Wanting to bring people together to experience the art, and then that drives the conversation around who gets to make art, where they get to make art, what art they get to make. Like it influences all that stuff. So it definitely changed that. Not so much the art itself.
Got you.
But yeah, man, like, you know, it bleeds into it here and there. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm very specific about, like I got a mural and I need to put a figure on it. I'm definitely gonna make them black, or there's gonna be some sort of reference to black something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Quick story about a situation in Southside, in Manchester. So this guy bought a building and he wants a mural. And so everybody immediately refers him to me.
Oh.
So he's like, yeah, you know, whatever. This is like right around the time, it's like late 2020, early 2021.
Okay.
So protests still happening.
Right.
And he's like, I want a mural that's gonna bring people together, which is like immediately like,
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
What type time you
know
on?
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
What type time you on?
So I send him a sketch and he's like, nah, this feels a little too like cartoony. Which I'm like, you called me. What
Yes.
do you mean? You know what I mean? So I sent him another sketch and he says, this looks too Japanese. I was like, yo, what does that mean? So okay, one more sketch, like my last. I'm like, I am not a big sketch person. I hate sending people sketches. So I sent him one more drawing, and he didn't even critique the drawing. His immediate response was, I was thinking something more along the lines of like the eagle and the flag. And I'm like, yo, fam,
Yeah.
this is a black neighborhood.
Yeah.
The eagle and the flag mean something
Totally
way
different.
than what you think it means.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different context. And back to the point about walking away from jobs that don't integrity. I'm like, I, as the black artist in this side of town, will not be responsible for what you got going on. So
Right.
like, you got to find another artist, man, because I can't do it.
Shout out to you.
And the building is still unpainted. You know what I mean? So
Shout out to you and shout out to everybody else that said hell no.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure he reached out to a couple other people, and I
Yeah.
know they all was like, no.
No,
Thank y'all.
nobody doing that. Like, get
y'all.
out of here, man. Like, that's integrity, and that grows, right? Because, like, as you facilitate community, and you bring forth community, then you start to find like-mindedness, and then everyone, it's like a wildfire. It's like, hell nah, man. What, Silly turned that joint down? Nah, we ain't.
Yeah.
Hell nah.
Yes.
An eagle and a flag.
What? Please, more energy like that.
More energy like that. More energy like that, you know, just standing on integrity, standing on what's important, standing on what's right. You know, that's not going to represent the space.
Yeah,
That's
man.
not going to represent the times even.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's going against it.
yeah. There was a mosque next door.
Oh,
And I was like, yo, we're not
you
doing
ain't say
that.
that.
Oh my
We're
God.
not doing that.
Not every dollar is worth it, man.
Not a mosque.
Not a mosque. What? Please.
Oh, you ain't say that.
Yeah,
We
it's
trying to bring the
there's
people
the
together?
building, an empty lot, and then the mosque. And he's like, his wall was facing the mosque.
Wow.
And he was like, nah, fam.
Nah, nobody's
nah,
doing
man.
that, fam.
We know what
Come
you're
on,
trying to
man. Not even fam, because you're not fam with that concept. That's crazy. That's crazy. Man, so what's next for you?
More of this, hopefully. Like, you know, all city, we're still trying to find our own sort of space to occupy. But in the meantime, more murals, of course, but definitely leaning more into like building spaces that can't be taken away. Like I've had enough of the sort of we make a space come to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like hip hop, it's the homie. How many spaces have hip hop like started DJing and
Yes.
you start popping, and
Yes.
then all of a sudden they're like, well, we don't really want to do hip hop.
Yeah, we wanna
here no
pivot.
more." It's like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? So like trying to build spaces that can't be sort of like redirected or taken away, and also back to the thing about paying it forward of like being that sort of like thing for I didn't have as a kid. It's like Chris is a teacher, Nad is a teacher. And I just kind of like tangentially be around because they're the homies.
Yeah.
But just more opportunities for like young kids, especially like middle school, high school age kids that
Yeah.
are still like, they're about to make that transition into adulthood. That like, yo, there's opportunity for you to do, like the world's a stage, you know what I mean? You can do whatever you want. And you don't have to be in front of the camera. Like you can be the guy beside the guy, you know what I mean? You can
Yeah.
still be in this world. You don't have to like, how can I phrase this? You don't have to go against your integrity to get $1. You can be the entertainment lawyer. You don't have to be the rapper. You can
Yeah.
be the wardrobe. You can be the set designer. You can be whatever. You don't have to like put yourself in that position. You
Right.
can still exist in the world of creativity and, you know what I'm saying, find your way and make a living and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell the people, man. This month you take it's a takeover. It's a silly genius takeover. You took over the playlist,
Yep.
the monthly playlist.
Yep.
My God,
Crazy.
it's a dope playlist, man.
Thank you.
I only
Thank you.
listened to a fragment because I wanted to take it all in when everyone else does, and I'm like, the little bit that I heard, I think I heard like maybe 4 tracks. I'm like, oh,
Yeah. I've been wearing it out. Apple Music just was like, hey, you put this on. So every time I get in the car, even though I was listening to Spotify, it's
Yeah.
going to put that playlist back on. So I've heard the whole thing several times and it's incredible.
it's really good,
Yes.
man. It's really good. It just speaks to how multifaceted you are, how cultured you are, how even when you put in your own culture on your back, you're also respectful for other cultures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that, man, young Court, I would like to know young Silly, man. You know, I wish that I knew people like you growing up. You know what I mean? I wish that, and I think that's why, like, I stand on what I stand on now as an adult. Because, like, I think that is crazy. Like, when you grew up in the 80s, 90s, like, we're the adults now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Which is crazy, but we have like young eyes on us. And like, I think that to heal the inner child is to become the adults that we never had.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
Put that on a shirt.
yeah, but for real, you know, I had just posted today, like the younger me would be so proud.
Man, young me would be like, you did what?
You did
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And I speak to the young me sometimes, like, yo, we doing it. We did it and we're doing it. We're going to continue to do it. And, you know, thank you. Thank you for all
thank
that
you.
you do, man. Thank you for all that you do. You're very much so needed. You're a blessing. You're all of the things.
Yes.
You're all of the things cool. For real.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
man. Shout out.
Shout out.
This was a dope episode. I'm like on the moon right now, man.
This was a dope week.
I might go
like,
spray
weekend.
some shit up.
All right, man.
I got a wall in the backyard, you know what I'm saying?
Look, if you willing to be my mentor,
Yo,
I
we
used to
good.
I used to be a little bit nice with the tagging, you know what I'm saying? Like get the crink pins and all of that. But I stopped. I stopped. And maybe I'll pick up the pen. Maybe I'll return to it.
I you know what I mean? Legality aside, you know what I mean? 'Cause I don't want people to be getting in trouble on my behalf. But I will say graffiti definitely makes you sort of recontextualize space. Like, I'm almost, especially if you live in like impoverished, you know what I'm saying, neighborhood. I'm sure there's a billboard, you know what I'm saying, there's just somewhere it shouldn't be. But imagine if that billboard was a mural.
Right.
Imagine if there was art on that bench at the bus stop instead of an ad for a lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right.
or if like all of those "we buy houses for cheap" signs
Right.
were actually pieces of art, and you know what I mean. So I'll just put that out there.
Shout out to all the street artists that ran through downtown LA and that build. Oh my
shout out.
God.
LA
Oh
and
my,
Oh,
Miami.
yeah.
oh my God, man. They like shout out to them because like you said, like these developers are coming in, these investors are coming in, they're just sitting on stuff. They're losing the funding. They don't have the funding to complete the projects. And this like big stark building is just sitting in downtown LA
Yep.
that could have been for something so much better.
Yep.
And the artist took it back.
Yeah. Global story in a week because of arts. You know
Yes.
what I
Because of
mean?
art.
So,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Pay attention, Richmond. There's
Huh.
so much more that we can be doing. And I'm gonna speak to what you said yesterday about that top 10 list of, you know, the greatest cities for art, and Miami being number 7, and we were what, 4?
4 in 2023 and 2 this year.
And
That's
2 this year.
That's crazy.
You could be doing so much better with allowing the artists here just the
You
space.
came by the parking deck, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Crazy.
How did it get, no hate, no shade, but just thinking of other cities, you know what I mean? Because like we talked about Miami with Art Basel, the street art down in Miami is crazy. How did Richmond get number 2?
I think it's the concentration of art because of that 10-year window of the mural festival. They were bringing some of the hitters through, like some of the best in the world, and a lot of those murals are still standing. So it's not a ton of murals, but the ones that are here are like
Hit.
world class.
Okay.
And that's sort of like how we got on that list. And now that the mural festival is kind of like over, it definitely raised the bar of like talent in the city, because we have to chase that, you know what I mean? So like the work that we're producing now is always going to be like on that level, because you can't fall below that, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Or
right.
you're just like, yo, what is you doing?
Right.
And that's how we sort of like land on those lists. It just sucks that like all those other cities, like we came to Philly, like last year before last, and saw a bunch of the art there. We were in Detroit for Blackout Walls, and they were having the first sort of like National Street Art Summit. And they sent a bunch of representatives there from all the other cities on the list. And we got to meet, I'm blanking on her name now, but she runs the sort of like public art thing in Philly.
Okay.
And like y'all have like $1 million budgets for like public art. Richmond gets goose eggs. We don't get nothing. You know what I mean? So like all the art that's being made in Richmond is on the back of the artists here. Like we just have that sort of like, nah, we doing this. And you go to other cities and the city is like, oh nah, we gonna help y'all. You know what I mean? So imagine up how much higher on the list or how much more money we'd be making if the city was like, yo, we're gonna kick y'all some money.
guys
and
be
help
number
y'all out.
1.
Yeah, we might be number 1.
How much did you say it was? 300, like
According to the Americans for the Arts, last year we made like 300 something million. And that's just with whatever's happening right now.
Right.
So imagine if there were like a concerted effort.
Yeah.
We'd be making
so much more.
so much more. You know what I mean? 700, 800 million.
Do better, please. That's it.
Maybe they don't want what comes with the arts. All that comes with the arts is like true, like inclusive, like
Yeah.
inclusiveness.
That's my tinfoil hat right there. It's like I think that money, everybody wants money, but I think money takes the backseat to narrative in Richmond. It's like they don't want to let go of that like capital of the Confederacy thing.
No.
Yeah, they
for
don't want
sure
to let
that.
go of that.
For
That's
sure
why.
that.
That's why it's not, and that's what I was leaning to. They don't want to let go of that.
Yeah.
They don't want to let go of that.
No.
You know what I
It'll
mean?
be hard to. Nobody would care about that if they're like, oh no, it's like #1 art city. They couldn't care less about capitalist Confederacy, all that. On top of the city being like half black, you know what I mean? We don't care about that.
Right.
It's not even a thing we trying to remember for real.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy though. Like, so, you know, when it comes down to the narratives that they deem important, they will protect it by any means, even if that means missing out on $500+ million, if
Yeah.
not more. They don't care, man. They don't care. It's already bad enough that them daggone racist ass statues had to come down. Like, it's bad enough, right? Like, you know, so
Even that's cover of National Geographic. The most important piece of protest art since World War II.
and
That's
that was
according
the
to National
time.
Geographic.
That was like the peak moment. Like, that was the peak moment for them to get on. Like, get on point and do something right. And it's just like, man, they are the death of everything good.
Yeah.
Them, those,
Yeah.
the people over there, they're the death of everything good. But I appreciate the fact that, like you saying, you know, forget that, we gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Thank you.
That's dope, man. Great episode.
Great episode. Thank
Love
you
it.
again. Thank you again.
Thank you.
So much.
So where can the people find you?
For
For all the people
now,
that want to lock in and they want to know all about Silly Genius.
allcityartclub.com has a bunch of stuff there. My website, when I can remember to update it, is silly-genius.com. Of course, I'm on the Instagram, Silly Genius, one word, just look me up. And that's pretty much where you can find me.
Okay. How can people support you? Do you have any art that's for sale?
So a bunch of stuff in here is for sale. I haven't updated my store on my website in forever. Again, whatever artist, you know what I'm saying? Lapse of mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For real, pressing city council, man. That's the best way you can help all of the artists in the city, is to like be very vocal about our art scene and what you want to see happen. You don't want to become one of those like cities full of franchises. Like, we have an incredible food scene here. We have an incredible music scene, and all those places are in danger of being wiped away with development.
Yeah.
So raise your voices, you know what I'm saying, to fight for all those things that you love, that why you call the city home. Don't be like a passive sort of, you know, oh man, my favorite restaurant closed, but then you never said anything in support of said restaurant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the best way to overall help. Like, of course, buying paintings and all that stuff, it helps, but like in the interest of longevity and sustainable sort of like art scene, be more active politically and socially with like what's happening to our city.
Or noted. And that probably goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Goes for everywhere, every city in America. You know what I mean? So thank you, man. Thank you. We gonna probably wrap this joint up now, because we done took up Silly Genius's time.
All
2 days.
day.
2 days.
All day.
For 2 days. So we appreciate you again. Thank you for showing us around. Thank you for taking us to, you know, all of the spaces that you blessed. And thank you for sitting on the couch time.
Yeah, man.
This is real couch time. This is the couch time I like.
What a callback.
Yeah, shout out to couch time. So thank you, man. And yo, for the people, if you know any artists that are in your area, man, just show up, show love. You know what I mean? Go down to the Congress, storm the building, send them emails, do what you got to do. And, you know, you can also help them financially by, if they have art up there, you can buy it. You know, art is a very closed off space based on capital.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's a lot of artists out there that are still very, very, very accessible, very, very affordable within whatever budget you may have. Support artists. There's a plethora of artists out there that are banking on your support.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, shout out to all the artists.
And where can they find us?
So yo, we ain't on Facebook. We done. We done. We've been going back and forth for months. We're done. We're just gonna try to like channel all of our energy into one hub and give you guys quality. I feel like we were spreading ourselves thin, and it was taking a toll on me. So and on you. So like, you know, we're primarily on Instagram. If you want everything cool in real life, go to Instagram, please. It's cool__IRL. You can find us on YouTube. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you like content like this, if you want to see more content like this, where we bring on the homies and we bring on people that are cool in real life, we bring on people that are following their passions and trying to follow their passions in a way of reaching their purpose. Like, comment, and subscribe. Help us out. And yeah, we coming out with the monthly playlist also, and that's it.
And that's it.
We was TikToking, but
the talk ain't ticking.
The talk not ticking.
We still going, throw it every once in a while.
We might throw up every once in a while, but please go to the Instagram.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube, and you can also listen to us audibly on Spotify and Apple and other platforms, I believe. But Spotify and Apple Podcasts is the main spaces that you can listen to us on.
For the audio.
Yeah, that's it. Shout out.
That's it. That's all.
Silly. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Silly.
Thank you. Why you always making that grunt?
Because I'm old.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. This is episode 4.
Yeah.
We out.
We out. This Coolin Real Life podcast where passions and purpose align. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you in advance for staying.
And we out.
We out.
Yeah.